Hi, my name is Cecilia Demoski, and today I'm going to tell you why you should use your right to vote. What would you do if your voice was never heard? This is the question that we as citizens must ask ourselves. As you can see in this picture, the overall voter turnout for the state of Tennessee in the November 2018 election was 51%. Simple research shows that people in the state do not care enough to use their right to vote. This is an amendment-given right that everyone should use, and it allows people to express their thoughts on who should make our decisions. Although we might all have different political opinions, we still need to come together and set our differences aside and vote. Today, I'm going to reveal to you why you should have your voice heard. So the first problem is that many Americans do not use their right to vote. In an article by journalist Bethany Brookshire, it is stated that the 4 reasons as to why Americans are not registered is because registration takes work, they're not educated enough on the candidates, and the fact that 2 parties to vote for may not be enough for them, and that there's too much apathy and burnout among our citizens. These are just a couple of examples of what citizens have to go through before they even get to the voting polls. These barriers is what discourages millions of Americans from even becoming registered to vote. Along with low voter registration levels, many registered Americans simply just do not even care enough to vote. Maybe it's because they think that it's not a big deal, or maybe it's because they think that their vote won't even make a difference. This is the biggest problem with today's society. Americans for hundreds of years have fought for this right, specifically women and people of color. There's a reason that these minorities fought so hard for this right. And it's time for us to do what they wanted for us to do, which is to have our voice heard. If 100% of eligible voters voted, the majority's voice would overturn the minorities, and more people would be in agreement of who gets to lead our country. But because turnout is so low, we are in danger of being ruled by the minority. So now that I've told you the problems that are prevalent with this, I'll tell you solutions to these problems. So the first solution to increase voter registration is to implement policies within our government that allow citizens to automatically be registered when they get their driver's license or when they turn 18. While Tennessee did establish online voter registration in 2017, an article released by the Brennan Center for Justice stated that only 36 states currently have this or will soon have this, and it's available at the DMV or other social service buildings. And so a benefit to this, having automatic registration, will allow everyone with a license to register, and it might even encourage young people who are taking their driver's license test before they even turn 18 to register to vote, so they're prepared for the future. And then, while we also need to focus on getting people to register to vote, we also need to focus on those who are actually registered but don't vote. So there's many strategies to overcome this, but in one example is holding people accountable. So if you tell them to do something and they make the promise, they will do it. So according to an article by Psychology Today, voters were given pledge cards in 2012 for the presidential election where they said they would vote and made a pledge to do it, and it held them accountable to do it. So making people keep their word will encourage them to actually do it and follow through. And another way to convince people that their vote matters and to do it is to simply tell them that everyone else is doing it, so they should too. And now this is the bandwagon technique, and it may seem ridiculous and old-fashioned, but it really does work. If you tell your friend that the voter polls are super busy and they're going to be really crowded, then it's going to encourage them to get there early and vote before everybody else. And also, if everyone else is doing it, they'll feel a part of something important, and everyone wants to be included in things. They don't want to be left out. And that includes voting. So, in conclusion, we as citizens of a democracy that, may I remind you, was fought so hard for many years ago, need to come together and vote. Because it's our right, And it's also a privilege because there's many countries in the world that don't have this right. And they don't get to choose who gets to lead them and who gets to make their decisions. But we do. So that's why we should do it. We already know that voter turnout is low, but we also know that we have the ability to change that. So please, take my points into consideration. Tell your neighbor, tell your coworkers, and tell your grandma that we need to come together and that your vote is your voice and it matters. Thank you.